I now convene this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Queens. If you all join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We have one board member absent tonight, and that's Linda Bruno. Public announcements will be short and sweet. Happy early Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Approval of board minutes from 24th of April. I'd like to make a motion to approve them. Everyone got a copy and had a chance to review?
Yes. I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. So approved. Okay, old business. We have the office space. Jim Clark from LaBerge had meetings with department heads today. And would like to, you want to step up, Jim, and share the information that we had gathered?
Well, good evening. It's nice to be here finally. And today was a day that I got a chance to get into a lot of the detail with the individual departments so that we can begin to move a revised building plan together. Hopefully to get that out to bids in a relatively short order and meet the long-term needs. But I think things went pretty well today. And if you have any questions, I'd certainly address them all because I know we're, kind of.
When do we expect that these documents are going to be ready to go out to bid?
I knew you were going to ask me that question.
So you should be prepared then.
I wanted an easy one to start with. I really can't answer that. Part of that answer comes from the fact that I need about a week to put together the revised plan, for example, to reflect the detail that I learned from department heads today. And part of that comes from meeting tonight, I think, and final resolution. So 6 weeks maybe or so. We're still targeting towards the end of the year to have occupancy. So
Not October 1st.
Excuse me?
Not October 1st.
Well, could have been October 1st, maybe.
No, I'm just that's the date that I've been told is potentially October 1st. So
Again, I need to get through all the detail, and we expected to actually be a little bit further down the line in terms of schedule than we are currently. So it's good to be here, and it's good to get into this level of eye-to-eye contact with the individual departments and the details. It goes a long way to moving things ahead.
And Jim, you met with all the departments today? All of them had a meeting with you today, and
No, I didn't meet with the assessor.
Okay.
I met with all other departmments.
Okay, great. Will you be meeting with the assessor?
Excuse me.
Will you be meeting with the assessor?
No, not unless I need to. But her space, for example, was pretty straightforward, and she's given me a revised diagram to work from. So my intent is to take that information and put it into a final document like this, so that we can go back through the department heads and get final sign off. That's for electrical outlets and do all that kind of stuff. So
Could I ask a question?
Sure. Easy one.
Do you feel that the rooms are big enough for these departments?
For each department?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I mean, like they're gonna have a desk and file cabinets and aren't the rooms?
That's the very information that was here today to gain. But yes, after walking through individual departments, I think it can be accommodated well within the building.
Okay.
Any other questions for Jim? Well, we're moving right
You're
along.
not going to give me any easy questions. Anyway.
How much dead space is left in the building after the offices are in?
I'm sorry.
How much dead space, like storage space, is left?
Okay.
Like when we put the offices in?
600-700 square feet, plus or minus, just a space that I think ultimately will be used for archive materials,
Files?
that kind of thing. But in terms of a focus on what, by October 1 or as quickly as it can be done, about 600 or 700 square feet will be untouched. Well, not necessarily untouched, but isn't programmed for a specific use.
Has there been any talks or discussions about potentially making that 600 or 700 square feet a meeting room, so that when we do move in, we could hold town hall meetings at the new building versus here?
That's not big enough to hold this kind of meeting.
Okay.
I think.
What are we talking, like this space right here? What are we talking square footage?
It's 22 wide by whatever it is long, but
50.
54. So you're easy to 1,000 square feet plus or minus.
I'm not saying like as a permanent, meeting hall, but, since we paid $1 million for the building, it'd be nice to conduct town hall meetings at the new building versus here. If we have 600 or 700 square feet of space that we're not going to utilize.
I mean, it's always a possibility. I think once all the offices are situated and everything's laid out, I think we can look at the space and circle back to it for sure. And especially as, Mr. Clark gets more of the drawings and the finalization of each department, where where their stuff's going. Maybe we can get like a better idea of what space is provided and what we could use it for, whether it's a meeting room or whether it's something else that the town needs. But I don't think it's out of the question. Yeah, I agree.
Where's all the files downstairs go now?
Right. So that was under our impression.
Is that slated anywhere in that plan, that all the stuff that's
Yeah.
downstairs, where is that going in that new building now?
In the archival area,
Is that
that would
600
be
or
like a
700?
transition space that we could bring departments, especially the building department. They mentioned they had a lot of files down there. So if we could bring those up and bring them into the, the dead space, they could go through them at their leisure, and the same with the clerk's office or whatever office files are down there.
You can't put the building records in with my records. They have to be separate.
Right, in separate dead areas. We're not quite sure exactly where they're from right now, but everyone's offices are getting a clearer picture of what's happening.
I don't think 600 to 700 square feet is going to be big enough for all of that. I showed him today.
They have to be protected, don't they?
Right. I mean, technically they are now, but if you're
Yeah,
going to they should be.
That type of occupancy or use requires some special considerations in terms of fire, et cetera. But I don't see anything that would catastrophically preventing him from going into the building. And back to kind of the original question, the priority right now was to consolidate all the departments into a single building, give priority to the needs of those spaces and the uses and how they function, and residual space, which tends to be pushed back, we use for things like archiving files.
If we're gonna keep this building, why can't you leave the files here?
Because it's wet downstairs?
Yeah, we don't want them downstairs any longer. They're getting ruined and.
Any further questions for Jim? Thank
Thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. It's good to finally, I was virtually before, but it's good to finally be here in person, so thank you.
Thank you.
You need me to stick around for any?
No, I know you got a 2-hour drive back to Clinton, so.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you for the hug.
Okay.
So in order to move forward on this, I suggest we make a motion to determine the occupancy of the clerk's office. I believe that there was a discussion for the northwest corner.
Yeah. I'll make a motion for the new 9W building to station the clerk's office in the northwest corner and move the building department to the center area of the building.
Okay. If we stick with the clerk's office in the
Okay.
northwest building
Okay,
while
sorry.
we gather the rest of the information.
Okay.
Jason there was some medical issues today, so
Okay.
we still have some information to gather.
Okay. And I make a motion to move the clerk's office to the northwest part of the 9W building.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Just for discussion
Oh,
purposes, so I guess I just was confused about what was just said. So we're not switching them, we're just moving the clerks and designating them to the northwest corner. but we're not gonna designate the building department in the center area at this point? in time?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and why is that?
So Jason had a doctor's appointment today, so we have to have further conversations with him, but there's some discussion of putting them where the archival office is and having the archival office in the center. Because there is there's a lot of architectural nightmares that for an office space kind of presents a lot of, speed
That's the
bumps.
same space that you were gonna go
So
in at, that was a nightmare?
So I guess
Yeah.
my issue with that is that, so if somebody comes into town hall to talk to the building department, now they have to go all the way to the back of the building in order to meet with them.
Well,
Versus having them right there.
I will say this, though, in all their survey responses, their biggest concern was public safety. So, I mean, if they wanna go to the back of the building,
It is a safer, secure
that is the
area.
safest spot of the building, that's what they asked for. They asked
Yeah.
for
The
public
questionnaires
safety.
made it clear for me exactly that space for the northwest corner you get way more traffic from the clerk's office. So it's the clearer choice. Going strictly from the questionnaires, it's the way to go.
So Jim's not gonna be able to start his draft of the, we'll call it redesign, until we figure out what is gonna be done in the back for the building
Well,
department?
he spoke with Sante and Riley today of the code enforcement office, and they just need essentially just Jason's input on how his office needs to be situated.
And so what would we do with that space in the middle?
That would become archival space. And also a service area where the mail would go, the fax machine would go for the business and HR offices. They went through it with Jim. Our office went through with him. They told Jim their needs, business and HR, and the reception area would be dead center instead of that one spot. It would take up the front so that he could direct people as they come in.
The building department also have access to that conference room. I mean, I gotta believe they meet with architects and engineers when they go over plans. I mean, so I mean, it'd be closer to them to that conference.
I'm just concerned that we're now going to create an office in the back. Like, put up walls.
Well, we have a supervisor's office
No,
already in
they
the back.
exist. That whole area that says archival, the reason that those
Oh, those
partitions
walls are
were
They're still
there,
there.
Okay.
Yeah, they
So
were
a
just
lot
gonna
of-
take out some to make archive space, but now the offices are there, they're just gonna be used for something else now.
I don't love the idea, but I'll think about it, but at least
Listen, I
we're
didn't love the
taking
idea.
care of one problem right now.
I didn't love the idea about it being sealed off, being buzzed in to get back to the back. Anyway, I mean, my perception of a public building is like Village, when you walk into the Village and you walk to the offices. But this has got buzzed off doors or doors that you have to be escorted back or whatever anyway. So, I mean, they put public safety down in their stuff, so I mean, they're getting what they want. They're gonna be behind a door that, the public has no access to. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's important too. I mean, let Jim talk to Jason. He already talked to Riley and Santee and have him draw it up. And I feel like when we saw it, the first original plan drawn up with, doors and desks and walls, I feel like it made more sense. So it's hard to, visualize this abstract idea of, they want to do this now. But, I think if Jim draws it up, it could look, feasible and maybe more welcoming than we think. So I'm willing to give it a shot if that's what the building department, codes department wants, and it can work within our budget and work within the the blueprint of the building. Then I say give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a hallway that walks back there. I mean, that way they can walk back to the building department. And if they want the window still, because that's what they want, a window. I mean, I just like to see, when it comes to public access, I'd like to be able to see them be able to have the public walk in and you go to the clerk, you can go here, and you can walk back to the building department, you can walk to the assessor. They're all gonna be right there. I mean, I understand if you wanna put the supervisor's office behind a partition, not a partition, but a door that you have to be walked in, or you whoever you walk into, if we're gonna have somebody sitting up front still, that's different, but you can still give them a secure area.
We have to definitely make it a secure.
Place, but the public's gonna be able to get there.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the design is gonna be important when we see it.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see what that brings.
Any Any further, if there's no further discussion,
Anything?
all those in favor? Of the clerk's office in the northwest corner?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, yeah, Ron, you wanna start us off with the seasonal areas?
Before we, I didn't know that we were done with old business. I just want to bring up the Nolan assessment agreement and the most recent email that we received from Mr. Farbstein. I think it's important that we have some sort of discussion, because the board did pass a resolution basically going against the assessment agreement. So I just want to read an email that was sent to the Queens assessor that I just this week was provided from the supervisor. So it's an email from Larry Farbstein to the Queens assessor dated Monday, April 28, 2025 at 1:37 p.m. And it says, "Hi Dawn, thank you for the phone call this morning with a request for information. I'll respond in the order of your questions. One, as you know, I have, and this doesn't really pertain to the Nolan assessment agreement. However, I'm just going to read it in its entirety just so that it's there. As you know, I have never itemized my invoice with respect to the level of detail that you requested. In fact, all the years that you and I have been working together, you know that I tend to round down my hours. In addition, I no longer maintain the records that support my invoice, other than to say I did speak with both the town attorney and the town supervisor on the matter set forth in the invoice." And just so that everybody is aware, the invoice that is being spoken about is last month, Larry Farbstein provided an invoice for $1,500 that the town board removed from the payment of bills because we felt that there wasn't enough information in that bill. Number two, with respect to the Nolan assessment agreement, when I first spoke with the town attorney and town supervisor, I did check my records and could find no such agreement that I prepared. However, when a copy of such agreement was sent to me, I recognized the language and realized that I did write it. I conveyed to the town supervisor with an appropriate mea culpa. And then number three, with respect to the alleged town board request for a discussion regarding the Nolan assessment, I never received any invitation from the town. I checked my email and couldn't find anything. It's possible that such an invitation went to my spam folder, but that's doubtful. Moreover, had I received such a request, you would have been my first call to more fully understand the request. I trust that the above is sufficient for your needs. If you need any further clarification, please let me know. Regards, Larry, Lawrence P. Farbstein, president of IUVC Incorporated. So I just wanted to bring it up, not only for the board, but, for the public, because we did have a lot of discussion about the Nolan assessment agreement recently. The board did pass a resolution going against the assessment agreement. And part of that discussion and part of the reason that the resolution went the way that it was, I was not in favor of that resolution, is that Mr. Farbstein, did not come one way or another to state whether he drafted this assessment agreement or whether he didn't draft the assessment agreement. And there was a lot of discussion with the board that, Larry says he didn't draft the agreement, so he must not have drafted the agreement. So, I'm glad to see that Larry finally did face up and say, I did draft the assessment agreement that has been in question. And I think it's important that the public and
Mr. Riley, question.
Well, just to very quickly clarify, the issue isn't whether is Larry Farbstein created the assessment agreement. It does not make an impermissible agreement permissible under New York state law. The question is the agreement. Is it lawful or is it unlawful? We voted that it was unlawful, 3 of us, and 2 voted that it was lawful. It is not lawful. It doesn't make it permissible whether Larry said, hey, I think you should go speed on the highway or kill somebody, and somebody does that. You can't go to a court and say, well, we trusted this guy. Detrimental reliance. We have to rely on his say-so because he's a professional. You had 3 attorneys. One was the town supervisor. the town attorney, and Michael Biscone. They didn't understand that they were entering into an unlawful agreement, and they relied on Larry Farbstein, who's an assessor, not an attorney. So whether Larry created it or not is irrelevant. The agreement is unlawful. We voted that it was unlawful. That's why we rescinded it.
Again, I just wanted the public to know because there was a lot of discussion. I wanted the public to know that Larry Farbstein did send an email that clearly indicates that he drafted that assessment agreement.
And the assessment agreement did create for the taxpayer an extra $43,000 that we had to shoulder that burden together from an illegal tax exemption, from an unlawful agreement.
I don't know that it's ever been determined illegal.
Well, it was in the resolution.
Well, the resolution, states that it's illegal, but
Right.
I don't know that it's been determined that it's an illegal assessment agreement.
And so that's, to clear that up, the assessment agreement is what's under issue here, not who created it. And you can continue. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, I think we just leave it there and information was given and so be it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that way, the Board of Assessment Review, if indeed they are requested to review, they can have the minutes from this meeting that, clearly show and that Larry Farbstein drafted the agreement.
Brian, you want to take us into the first resolution?
I, Councilmember Hoteling, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Parks Department is in need of hiring seasonal laborers for spring and summer. Whereas job opportunities were posted and applications were received and reviewed. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby appoint Eric Covey to a seasonal labor position effective May 19th, 2025 through, and we're amending this date, June 6, 2025 at the rate of $17.50 per hour.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution, moves adoption. Whereas the Parks Department is in need of hiring seasonal laborers for spring and summer, and whereas job opportunities were posted and applications were received and reviewed, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Queens does hereby appoint Laszlo Poliak to a seasonal labor position effective May 5th, 2025 through June 6th, 2025 at the rate of $17.50 per hour.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I, Supervisor Donnelly, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens Police Department currently employs 3 part-time detectives within the department, and whereas it is important to delineate the chain of command to ensure service to the public is delivered in a professional and expedient fashion, and whereas Detective James E. Cross has recently completed a 20-plus year career with the town of Bethlehem Police Department, retiring as Detective Sergeant. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby appoint Detective James Cross to the rank of Detective Sergeant for the town of Queens Police Department, effective immediately at an hourly rate of $42.73 per hour.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, any discussion on that? No? Motion carries.
I, Councilmember Schmidt, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Town of Queens Town Board seeks to advertise and solicit bids pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 103, for the purchase of a new F-350 3500 HD regular cab 4x4 truck with a stainless 9'6" by 2V plow by Fisher. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby authorize and direct the Town Clerk, with the assistance of the Highway Superintendent, to advertise and solicit requests for sealed bids for F-350 3500 HD regular cab 4x4 truck with a stainless 9'6" by 2V plow by Fisher, pursuant to the attached bid documents and specifications with a bid opening on May 21st, 2025 at 2:00 p.m., at which time any responsive bids shall be publicly opened and read aloud. The town reserves the right to waive any informalities in the bid and to reject, in whole or in part, any or all bids.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Baker, do you want to just provide some detail into the purchase of this vehicle and the plan?
So, good evening, everyone. I sent the board an email. We have two pickup trucks right now. One's a 2011, one's a 2012. They're both in very bad condition. They won't pass inspection. The seasonal guys use these every day with the trailers, and they tow the mowers around, and they go back and forth. And we constantly are putting money into them. So I just felt at this time, it's time to take one of them out of the fleet. We have a 2021. It's got about 40,000 miles on it. That's the deputy's truck. We would take that truck and put that has a plow, put that into the fleet for the daily use, and then we would replace the deputy's truck with this one. Under state contract pricing as well. Okay, so.
And you would be using fund balance
Reserve,
money?
yes. So, it's something that we haven't really done in quite a while, and we've been kind of nursing these trucks along, and like I said, the threat of them not passing inspection and they're running the roads every day is not a position that we want to be in. So, I think it's something that we need to do. Any other questions?
All right, thanks.
Thank you guys for that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I, Councilmember Holt, telling offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Cleveland seeks to procure grant writing and engineering services associated with a proposed town of Cleveland's wastewater improvement project. And whereas the engineer currently used by the town of Cleveland's for related services has prepared the attached sample request for qualifications, materials, and documentation that can be used to solicit services in the manner that the state and federal funding programs require. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Cleveland's does hereby authorize the town supervisor to work with the town clerk and the town attorney to procure or to proceed with the RFQ for the services in question.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
So, Mr. Riley, we currently have a contract with an engineering company, right? That's working on this grant for us. So this RFQ is just a process?
My recollection is they are working currently on the administration of the, and I may get this wrong, the $500,000 or so grant that was previously awarded. This is an attempt to go after the additional funding sources that would maybe amount to $1.5–2 million, I think was the number that we were talking about.
Okay.
From a number of different federal and state agencies. And so that's who we're trying to identify an engineer to assist us with. They would be one, I mean, they're on that list of potential engineers who would receive it, but we would send it to all sorts of other companies, including the other engineer that we've used for other purposes here at the town.
Okay. And it would be like a bidding process type thing?
Well, with professional services, it's not so much sort of who's the lowest bid, but you're going to ask them to respond with their experience and qualifications relating to this type of project.
Okay.
And you got those, I forwarded that on the 5th? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Cleveland is required by the Department of Housing and Urban Development to hold a public hearing for approval of the 2025 PHA plan for the town of Cleveland Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. And whereas the town is required to publish a public hearing notice in the official newspaper of the town at least 45 days prior to the date of the hearing, either as a display ad or legal notice. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Cleveland does hereby authorize the town clerk to publish a public hearing notice in the official newspaper of the town for public comment to be heard on July 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at Queens Town Hall, 18 Russell Ave, Ravena, New York, regarding the 2025 PHA plan.
Second that, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Could you explain that a little
Yes.
bit, what that is?
Candace, or sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a company that does the HUD planning. This is just to, they want to present their policies and how it's organized. It's James Mastriani's company. And it's simply this resolution is about to have a public hearing about it so the town can come, or the residents can come and ask questions if they have any.
Okay.
Okay, that takes us to upcoming meetings. May 12th, PBZBA meeting at 7 p.m. And on the 22nd is our next one at 6 p.m. And May 28th is a PBZBA meeting at 7. And June 9th is another PBZBA meeting at 7 p.m. That takes us to public comment time. Anyone would like to step to the lectern with any questions or comments? Feel free to do so.
I'll just, two small things. Have any of you had any news?
State your name and
Sorry,
address.
Barbara Heinzen. I live on the boundary of Queens and New Baltimore.
Thank you.
Have any of you had any news about, from Advance Albany County Alliance about the electricity substation? Things have been very quiet since the resolution was passed. Do we know where things stand?
I haven't heard from Advanced Albany County Alliance or the Albany County Executive's Office to date.
Okay, so we don't know where things are at the moment.
We're just waiting to see
Okay.
if they reach out to us.
Right. And also, I understand people know that there was a suicide in town recently. And in recovering from the aftermath, I've been talking with the wife of the man who committed suicide, and she's struggling to find resources to cope with everything she has to cope with. Is there anything that you know of on the website that would help somebody in those circumstances, or other people who are facing difficulty? I know there are resources in Albany County. Is there any way of adding to the town's website, these things are available, go to this number, anything like that? Would that be possible to include?
There is a suicide hotline number, 988, that's on the website. And I'm also in conversation with Dan Egan, who is an RCS graduate that his father also committed suicide, and he promotes that. We were at a meeting at the marina several months ago. So we are reaching out to find support for her. We don't have any in the town.
Yeah.
We absolutely should have some mental health and wellness facilities that we'll work on in the future. But for now, it's just donations and just reaching out to support for her and her children.
I was also thinking in future of people who are having trouble, and if they go to the website, there might be a list of agencies in Albany County, for example, who are helpful, or volunteer organizations that are helpful. It might just be handy to have that information locally available, because people don't necessarily think I'll go to the county and get that help. So if that would be possible, that might reduce trouble in the future. That's really all I wanted to say, but thank you very much.
Thanks.
I have one thing, Supervisor. Have you heard anything about upgrades to the civil housing? I know I drove by there a couple days ago, and there's like a lot of trucks, working trucks there, and they were doing a lot of work on the side of the building. I don't know if you've heard anything about the updates that they've been doing.
Yeah, I actually went down a couple months ago. I invited Liberty Housing down because I wanted to talk to them and go through it. They had added, so instead, I think there was 26 units. They added 4. I think there's 30 now. Every unit has been redone: kitchens, bathrooms, living spaces. Every unit has its own mini split heat, so you don't see that big boiler out front anymore. We went down to the boiler room, and the first time I went down there, it looked like it was from the 19th century. It's all brand new. It's beautiful, and we actually had a discussion about they have a timeline of 2026 to build additional housing where the parking lot is, and have the parking lot where the tennis courts are. However that works out, that's just a very initial plan that they were talking about. But yeah, Sybil has been upgraded, and I've been meaning to go down there and talk to the residents and see how they're doing, because I haven't spoke to Jan or anybody since, you know, they would call and come into meetings all the time.
Yeah.
That you can go back and watch them come in walkers and go, we don't have windows or heat, what are we gonna do? So that worked out great.
Yeah.
So thanks to Liberty Housing.
Yeah, it's good to see Liberty Housing is, following up and
Yeah.
progressing.
Yeah, they're a great company. Thanks for the question. So if there's no further public comment, I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
What are we gonna do with all our time tonight?